They called it the darkest day in Australian cricket history, the 24th of March 2018. Cape Town, sandpaper hidden in a player's pants, a nation's trust shattered in seconds. But what you don't know is that this scandal wasn't the beginning of Australia's problems, it was merely the symptom of something far deeper, something that had been brewing in the heart of Australian cricket for decades. The truth about how the Australian cricket team operates, how they've dominated, and how they've fallen will change everything you thought you knew about the sport. Before we dive deeper into this shocking revelation, make sure you're subscribed to all sports updates for more incredible cricket stories that will blow your mind. Hit that bell icon because you won't want to miss what's coming next. The Australian cricket team didn't become the most feared side in world cricket by accident. It was systematic, it was ruthless, and it started long before Don Bradman ever picked up a bat. The foundation was laid in the Sheffield Shield, Australia's domestic competition that became a gladiatorial arena where only the strongest survived. Young cricketers weren't just taught how to play cricket, they were taught how to win at any cost. The mental disintegration tactics that became Australia's trademark weren't invented by Steve Waugh or Ricky Ponting, they were inherited from a century of competitive brutality that defined Australian sport. Sledging became an art form. The stare-downs, the verbal jabs, the psychological warfare, all carefully crafted to break opponents before a single ball was bowled. When Alan Border took over the captaincy in 1984, Australia was at rock bottom, humiliated by every team they faced. Border didn't just rebuild a cricket team, he built a culture of aggression that would define Australian cricket for the next 3 decades. Win or die trying became the unwritten motto. The 1989 Ashes victory in England wasn't just a series win, it was a declaration of war. Australia had found their identity, and it was terrifying. Mark Taylor, Steve Waugh, Ricky Ponting, each captain added layers to this winning mentality. The sledging intensified. The aggression became legendary. Shane Warne would spin not just the ball but opponents' minds. Glenn McGrath would tell batsmen exactly which delivery would get them out. Matthew Hayden would stride to the crease like a warrior entering battle. This wasn't just cricket anymore, this was psychological domination on a scale the sport had never witnessed. The machine Australia built was so efficient, so dominant, that between 1999 and 2007, they won 3 consecutive World Cups. They conquered every format, every condition, every opponent. The 2000s Australian team is still considered the greatest cricket team ever assembled. Gilchrist behind the stumps revolutionising wicket-keeping. Ponting at number 3 averaging over 50. Warne and McGrath forming the most lethal bowling partnership in history. They didn't just beat teams, they humiliated them. The 5-0 Ashes whitewash in 2006-07 left England broken and traumatised. But every empire has its cracks, and Australia's were beginning to show. The retirements came like dominoes. Warne, McGrath, Gilchrist, Hayden, Langer, all gone within 2 years. The new generation that replaced them inherited the aggressive culture but not the skill to back it up. The decline was swift and brutal, from world dominators to struggling against Bangladesh. The 2010-11 Ashes defeat at home was unthinkable. The 2013 tour of India resulted in a 4-0 thrashing. Australia was searching for its identity again, and in that search, the culture that had made them great became toxic. The aggression that once intimidated opponents now made them look like bullies. The win-at-all-costs mentality morphed into something darker. David Warner's punch in a Birmingham bar. Mitchell Johnson's sustained verbal attack on England's tailenders crossing the line from competitive to cruel. The behaviour that was once celebrated as mental toughness was now being questioned globally. Cricket Australia's obsession with maintaining the tough Australian image while preaching elite honesty created a contradiction players couldn't navigate. Then came Cape Town, the moment that changed everything. Cameron Bancroft rubbing sandpaper on the ball, the cameras catching every second. Steve Smith's press conference admission, David Warner's involvement, the public confession. Australia didn't just lose a test match that day, they lost their soul. The bans were handed down. Smith and Warner for 12 months. Bancroft for 9. But the real punishment was the global condemnation. The country that had prided itself on tough competitive cricket was now labelled as cheaters. The fallout was catastrophic. Sponsors withdrew. Players were abused in public. Children cried seeing their heroes fall. Justin Langer was brought in as coach to rebuild not just a team but a culture that had corroded from within. The journey back wasn't about winning, it was about redemption. The 2019 Ashes in England became the testing ground. Smith returned and scored 774 runs in the series, playing through concussion, through pain, through the hostile crowds booing his every move. Australia retained the Ashes, but more importantly, they began to earn respect again. The 2021-22 Ashes victory at home, a 4-0 thrashing of England, showed that Australian cricket had found its bite again, but with more restraint, more class. Then came the ultimate redemption, the 2023 World Cup victory. Travis Head's magnificent century in the final, Pat Cummins' inspired captaincy, Australia winning their 6th World Cup, proving that great teams don't just rise, they rise again after falling. But the story doesn't end there. The current Australian team faces new challenges. The transition from the Smith-Warner era to the next generation. Will Pucovski's mental health struggles highlighting the pressure of wearing the baggy green. The rise of franchise cricket threatening player availability. The changing global dynamics where India's financial power shifts cricket's centre of gravity. Australia must evolve again or risk becoming irrelevant in a rapidly changing cricket landscape. Don't forget to subscribe to all sports updates and hit that notification bell so you never miss the incredible stories that define cricket history. The Australian cricket team's journey from dominance to disgrace to redemption is more than just a sports story. It's a lesson in how cultures are built, how they can corrupt, and how they can be rebuilt. The baggy green cap still means something. It represents excellence, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of victory that defines Australian sport.